name is Marshall Stewart. I'm an expert off-road racer here with Dirt Bike Test, testing out the off-road 250s. Starting off, the winner for me would be the GasGas. My entire riding style is feel. For me, the chassis is everything. It gave me the reliability in my feet, as odd as it sounds. I'm very sensitive with my feet and how hard I push with my heels. And it gives me the feeling I need to be fast. Another big winner for this bike right here is going to be the brake system. I feel as if Brembo just does it different and does it better. The steel braided brake lines doesn't allow the brake lines to expand where you then lose feel. That is an issue I had with the other brands. As you start riding a little bit more, the brakes start fading just a little bit. Nothing super serious. It's just a very personal feel for me. This bike, I wasn't stoked on the power. The power kind of lacked on the bottom end, but on the top end it was really fast. And once when you're able to be in those RPMs and you're able to have those speeds, you got to keep it there. Gives off a little, harder riding, and you get a little bit more fatigued. But again, the power is there. I was able to do everything I needed through the trails. The bike was nimble, very comfortable. I was able to be confident through rocks, logs, tight single tracks, lefts and rights. I was just very, very comfortable. Another big win for me on this is going to be the clutch. The hydraulic clutch on this bike is very reliable, very consistent, and it goes best with the power. So as you have to feather it, or if you're slipping it out of a corner, the motor works well with those type of riding styles. That's about it for me on this. The suspension has been better, I can say that. In years past with these air forks, you get a really dead feel and very little adjustability. As you come into braking bumps and you're entering the turn, the bike wants to start walking away from you, especially the front end. With this one, there was a little bit adjustability that I had to do, and the sliding or the skipping away subsiding. So the suspension is good. The rear end, happy with. I didn't even touch it. All we did was set sag on this bike, and it was good. And on the trails, through the rocks, and on the moto track, very, very confident in that. And I feel as if that goes in line with the chassis. I'm able to keep the rear end set down pretty well. My second choice for today is going to be the Yamaha. The Yamaha is going to be my second choice because the power was always there. It's actually a really fast bike. As with that bike, especially with 250s, you're really having to feather the clutch or slip the clutch out of corners or through braking bumps, wherever it may be, you're having to use the clutch. With that bike, you really couldn't tell a difference with the clutch, whether you did slip or you did feather it, because the motor had the power to be able to get you where you wanted to go. So that was pretty cool. That's different than from this bike right here, where you have to slip or you have to feather the clutch. With that one, you don't. Suspension was impressive for it being off the showroom floor. For me, it was consistent all around, high speed, low speed jumps in the first quarter of the stroke. I was able to, spend 3-4 laps just standing and just kind of cruising around. And then when I was able to push and sprint hard, I still had that consistent feel in both the front and the rear suspension. As you hit harder, I didn't like the harsh hit. For me, I believe that feel would be from the chassis. Just the rigid aluminum just fought me a little bit, but it's not bad. The brakes started fading. That's one thing I did not like. After about 5 to 10 laps, it started fading a little bit. I was still able to stop. So I'm not saying it's a total loss on the bike or something I would not buy it for. It's something that I thought of, and I didn't like that feature. One thing with the motor and the power of that bike is it felt like a moto bike where you could tell the difference in the power on the bottom end with these off-road bikes. Off-road bikes, you kind of have to work for the power. The Yamaha was consistent all the way through. So that was good. Something I did not like about it, and this is a very big personal preference, was the chassis feel, the size. I felt like I was having to squat a little bit, and I felt a little bit scrunched up, and right there is just off for me. I had to adjust my riding style back on the seat a little bit more to be able to have my body open up, and I felt as if I wasn't as fast as I was on this bike or the other bikes because I was having to compensate my riding style. Again, a huge personal preference with comfort and style. That would for sure buy it. I would 100% buy that bike. For me, my third bike, third best today is going to be the Honda. The Honda, I got to be honest, it's a Honda. I got on it, and you're automatically comfortable as you sit on it, as you cruise. Reliable. The suspension was pretty decent. It did start skipping out on me as I got faster on the bike and more comfortable. We really had to turn down the rebound on the forks for me. Every time I would enter a corner, thing would just be wanting to skip out. But as we turned the rebound down, it was able to be more control. The power was pretty decent, but I had a hard time using the power and the clutch because the cable. The cable just kind of seems old. The comfort I have in a hydraulic clutch system and the feel to what I feel with the power is everything. And that completely lacked. I wasn't comfortable on it at high speeds. The tank was pretty big and bulky, the stock tank. As I sat on it and kind of cruised or trail rode, I was comfortable. It wasn't an issue. But as I was able to push hard and want to sprint and be at a race pace, I got uncomfortable because my legs were spread out just a little bit too much. Just didn't like it and wasn't able to have the control on my legs due to overcompensation of them being a little bit wider apart. The bars were comfortable. Those Renthal bars are pretty solid. They give a good bend or feel for my riding style, and I was comfortable with them. Another one for me on the Honda is going to be the brakes. Again, we're lacking the Brembo system, or we're lacking a steel braided brake line. That was an issue. Again, as I started riding, getting 4, 5, 6 laps into it, they started fading a little bit, and that's just a huge feel for me. And so that's one thing I would consider on a Honda. The transmission on the Honda on the bottom end was pretty decent. Didn't really have any issues with it. I think with the stock gearing, I ran out of gear a little bit sooner. Where the Yamaha, you're able to twist the throttle and it just goes. You're able to wring it out pretty good. There was a couple jumps here on the Honda. I would have to shift into fourth on the lip just to be able to clear it, just to give me that extra little speed. Where on the GasGas and the Yami, I was able to hold it wide and get the jump. It felt pretty reliable, really smooth through clicking gears, both up and down the gears. Definitely good bike. I would 100% want to test it out in more of like a desert scene. I feel as if it would be pretty good there, especially with some different gearing. But overall, it was a good bike. The final bike, definitely last on the list for a couple different reasons, is going to be the Kawasaki. For me, the Kawasaki was really slow and dead off the bottom end. You really had to work for the power. Once when you had the power and you were twisting the throttle a good amount, the bike was solid. It was actually really fast. The only issue for me was as you approach a turn and you have to let off the throttle, the engine braking was too heavy. I almost felt as if you're dragging the rear brake, or you're having something caught up on your bike, and it just was not comfortable. As you come through, you pull the clutch in, you tap the brake, and you go through the turn. it almost wanted to stall. It just, all momentum's, all RPM's gone, and you're then having to be stuck there restarting everything. And for me, losing that momentum was a struggle, because there I am restarting again, and the lack of power on the bottom end, I wasn't confident hitting some jumps. I really felt as if I would have had to work harder than I needed to be able to clear that jump. And for me, I kind of lost confidence in the bike right away. For the Kawasaki, it's one of those things, the lack of Brembo system and a steel braided brake line, just started losing feeling. A big thing for me on the brake system is going to be the front brake lever. This is no joke. Every time I pulled that front brake in, it took my attention away from riding and what I was doing, just because it's so uncomfortable. Yeah, you're able to buy another, brake lever and go to another manufacturer like Arc Lever or ASV. But again, off a showroom floor, it's just annoying. Is what it is. Another thing for me for an off-road bike is going to be the kickstand. For a trail bike or for an off-road bike, it sticks out too far, and it's just one of those details that's I'm not okay with. My riding style, I push on my heels really hard, and with that kickstand, as I push down, it would push the kickstand down. Then there was a couple parts on the motocross track, I felt it drag a roller as I pushed my heels really hard. For that feature, that's an issue. It's one of those things that the other manufacturers think about, and make their product, tight and compact into the bike, and Kawasaki definitely lacked on that. And so, desert bikes or trail bikes, you have to have a kickstand. And if that's one of the things that I'm going to have to be facing, it could turn into a big issue. The suspension on Kawi was pretty decent. Nothing too special. It was comfortable. I feel as if there needs to be a little bit of tweaking in the valving if I'm wanting to push hard. But if you're cruising, having a good time in these rocks or around logs, there was no issue with it. Just a couple clicks on rebound and compression, and you could get yourself pretty comfortable. But on the motocross track, if you're pushing and you're trying to hit big jumps, it's one of those things that there's going to need a lot of work in the valving for your riding style. Another small issue with the Kawasaki is going to be the noises the bike makes, as odd as it sounds. There's a constant ringing sound or a tinging sound coming from the bike. I believe it was a chain roller. Again, it's one of those small little details that get me while I'm riding. It takes my attention away from riding, because it's one of those things, what's coming loose or what am I dragging, when it's really just the chain roller or chain guide. Overall, the Kawasaki was a good bike. My pickiness is it just comes down to my riding style. I think that with certain things that you would have to buy for the bike, it would turn into a really good bike. But off the showroom floor, my riding style is a bit too picky for that. Overall, it was a really good day. All these brands are really good. All these brands I would buy, but I have to put some at the top and I have to put some at the bottom. Couldn't be happier with this opportunity from Dirt Bike Test. This was my first time doing testing, and it gave me definitely a big perspective on what features the different manufacturers offer. I was able to see where each one of these bikes was good, and where each one of these bikes kind of lacked. I feel as if my riding style is more adaptable to the GasGas. My choice for picking the GasGas as the winner is going to be because I personally race KTMs. It's a very close feel to those bikes, and it's something that I know. It's something that my entire riding style has been adapted to, and with that, with limited time, I was able to adapt to it a lot faster than to the other brands.